So, we've got a number one deluxe meal. Is there anything else I can get you?
Yeah, I'd also like a good night's sleep. Maybe something like the I didn't struggle all night with my uncomfortable CPAP mask.
Sir, I think what you're looking for is Inspire. It's an implant that works inside your body to treat sleep apnea without a CPAP.
Come on!
He sounds hangry. Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you, and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Pac-12 Media Day. What a blast.
I'm
All
getting mad
broadcaster.
here. I'm getting mad. Are you getting mad at this? I'm reading Kliavakov's comments. It's making me mad.
It's not making me mad because I don't think he has a choice. And I honestly, I don't know what he's supposed to do publicly. I mean, look, everybody in the world knows you don't have a deal. You thought you'd have a deal by now. You can say that you can say whatever you want. Everybody knows it. I just don't know what he's supposed to say. The deal's not there yet. The deal he wants isn't there yet, and they're going to wait until, the last minute, I think, until a deal he wants gets there. And the question becomes, does the economy and, the landscape allow that to happen? I'm not sure that it does. But if it's not there now, and let's look at it this way. If the deal's not there now, what is better or worse for the Pac-12? To take a bad deal or to wait?
No, look, I don't have I'm not disagreeing with you on this stuff. My problem, he's lying.
But what's he going to say?
He's blatantly lying. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody can see through this. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that he's lying in everything that he
What
this
would
is
you
one of his
rather
quotes.
see him do?
This is one of his quotes. We are not announcing the TV deal today on purpose because I want the focus to be on football. Lies. That is a lie. That's not true. And everybody on the face of the planet knows that that's not true. So there might be another way to say it, but man, you're blatantly lying to everybody there.
All right, Tommy, we both dabble and understand the world of PR pretty well. Let's say that you're in that chair and the situation that exists has presented itself.
Sure.
What would you say?
Well, first off, I would have attacked this a year ago and, tried to at least create a narrative a year ago that's better than what he did, right? I would hope to never be in this particular position right now on July 21st, 2023, because he's in this position right now because of what he said a year ago, right? And so you needed to be out in front of this a year ago.
But who knows if he could have gotten a deal done then? I mean, the reality is he got outplayed by the Big 12. They did their deal first. That's the reality, right? The optics early on. But let's say you're presented with the scenario now where that happened, right? Maybe the networks wanted the Big 12 more than the Pac-12. There's nothing he can do about that. But let's say you're in this position now where you do not have a deal. A deal is not there that you want to take. And you've got to parade up there in front of reporters who have called your bluff, and you're very obviously bluffing. But in the PR world, people bluff all the time. We got to – I'll give you an example. So – and I don't know all the details of this because I didn't cover this story yesterday. I guess the new, Panasonic battery plant, right, that is opening, our Evergy rates are going to go up to help facilitate that. So our, investigators yesterday are asking all these people. We get a statement back from the governor that says there will be downward pressure on the rates after we got a statement from Evergy that said, yeah, basically we got to pay for this stuff. And, that kind of falls on everything, just like anything when we do the rates. So we know that that's a bluff. We know that what does downward pressure on the rates mean? Are the rates going up or they're not going up? Well, they're going up. We know they're going up. So in the PR world, even sometimes when it's blatantly obvious, you have to say the wrong thing. And it's our job to call it out as we've appropriately done. But what is the alternative if you're in Kliavakov or however you say his name's position right now than to say, we think we're going to get a great deal? Are you going to sit up there and say, gosh darn it, Brett Yormark got the best of me, and now we're screwed, and we just have to wait and hope?
I do think it's okay, though. If you want to blame external factors out of your control, that's one thing you could do. That's not ideal, but you could blame the landscape in the media world being more challenging than we anticipated.
You can't do that because you have
you
teams
can.
that might leave. If you're sitting there saying, we don't know if the landscape's going to garner this deal, if you're Arizona, what are you going to do?
No, I think that like you can frame it in a way of saying, we are still actively negotiating and we are optimistic that we are making progress, as opposed to we have something that's really good. Just wait and see. Believe us this time, because that's not true. And we all know that's not true. And you're making us look like fools by listening to you. And you look like the biggest fool out of all of them. So
well, I think the foolishness comes in the people that have just blindly defended the Pac-12. Like I don't blame its commissioner for that. He's trying to stall is what he's trying to do. The people that to me look foolish, because I don't think he has a choice. So I don't think that's him looking foolish. I think that's him with his back against the wall. I think people that look foolish are the people that have blindly defended it, like, oh, you big hillbillies in the Big 12 country, you just wait and see. Right? You just wait and see how great it is out here. It's like, you're not paying attention. Like, you're not paying attention to all the That's who looks a little foolish to me here. They're the ones that have their feelings hurt because, but like if you're in that world, you got to know PR enough to know this dude's totally full of it. They don't have a deal because there's not a deal to be had. So stop just blindly. And now you're seeing by some of the questioning today, there's a little more aggressive pushback, I think, from that world. One example given by Stuart Mandel is, here's the quote. We're not announcing our media deal today on purpose because we want the focus to be on football. That's the one you brought up. And at this point in, the Twitter, translation of this press conference, there has not yet been a question about football, which is kind of funny. And then somebody followed up named James Crepea, who follows Oregon, right? And says, does on purpose mean there's a deal done and you're just not announcing it yet? And that's an obvious call on the bluff. And he said, I think you're reading too much into that. But like those questions needed to be asked that way a long time ago. Now, he has not made himself available since December. That I do have a problem with. I have a problem with that. You don't get to be in that position and not answer questions. You got to answer questions. Whether you dance this dance, that's okay because we can at least read into your answers. But when you just ignore it and never answer it, that I do have a problem with.
Right.
Because somebody like San Diego State in that scenario, by the way, kind of gets screwed, right? San Diego State, and now he's saying today, like, we're not expanding anything until we get a media deal done. I'm going to guess that wasn't always the case, or San Diego State wouldn't have written that letter in the first place.
And you know what? I also think that what Kliavkoff has done to himself, and I have no sympathy for this guy, because he has done it to himself. He's painted himself into a corner over the last 365 days where his only option when he's standing at a podium and taking questions is to blatantly lie. There's a difference, and we can argue the semantics of this, but there's a difference between a bluff and a lie, right? And I think what Kliavkoff is doing is lying. Like, it's not a bluff, it's a lie. Like, I think that a bluff, he did make a comment that I think you could consider a bluff. That line is, the longer we wait, the better our options get. That's a bluff. Because we can't.
Is it a bluff or is it reality because the options are so bad now? That's how I read
that could very well be the case, but I also think it's a bluff that like they don't have anything good right now and they're crossing all their fingers and toes hoping that they do get a better option, but it's a bluff because we can't prove it otherwise. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the future says. I think that's a bluff. But for him to say we're not announcing a TV deal today because we want to focus on football, that is a lie. Like that's different. That is
I don't
a
know
different
that it's
kind of
because
comment.
he's not announcing it because it's not there, and they do want the focus. I'm sure he would love for the focus to be on football. They are potentially walking into a season where the Pac-12 will be more successful on the field than it's been in a decade. Like,
and God bless that other reporter for following up and saying, "Does that mean you have one done?" And you're not announcing it today. Like,
because
that's amazing.
Because a lot of these bloggers in the groups that have, I'm sure that Utah's athletic director is embarrassed about this.
Yeah. I would think every athletic director and every university president in that conference right now is embarrassed.
Totally.
That this is the press conference that's going on.
Again, the defeat comes in that the Big 12 swooped in and was able to have the foresight that there is value in us being first here, because that was absolutely correct, right? The mistakes and all the vitriol need to be toward what happened initially, right, a long time ago. But I expected nothing different than what we've seen so far out of Pac-12 Media Day, because there is not another option. Look, nobody in his position is going to get up and say, hey, guys, the ship is sinking, but sink with us. We think we might find a lifeboat here.
You're mistaken on that, because that's happened before. Do you remember Bob Bowlesby in the Big 12?
Yeah, but he was on his way out.
He went in front of politicians and said with Oklahoma and Texas leaving, the Big 12 would lose 50% of their revenue. So this is, I mean, and I'm not suggesting Kliavkoff would want to do that. I mean, that's suicide right there as far as your career is concerned. But it is not, it's happened before where a commissioner has come in and painted a not so pretty picture. And I understand all of the ramifications of all of this. And if Kliavkoff didn't paint a cheery picture, then it would be, a mass exodus potentially from that conference. I just think that basically what is happening right now is that the conference, the commissioner, the bloggers, the people who follow the conference, they are all assuming that everybody else outside of their conference are complete and utter idiots and cannot read in to anything what they're saying, and just believe them hook, line, and sinker that, oh, by gosh, it's going to be awesome. And we've heard this song and dance forever, and it's just not the truth. It's not the truth.
He's reading off a teleprompter, which is really funny. I just saw a picture of that. So here's the part of this that, obviously everything he's saying about the media deal is hogwash. We know that. We knew that before he got up there and said anything. Here's what I don't know, and here's what is interesting, is that he says losing schools to the Big 12 is not a concern, and he says expansion doesn't happen until after a media deal. That is where he might have some insight, right? And that's what I don't know. Like, how interested really are Arizona and Colorado? Utah is doubling down. They don't appear to be interested for whatever dumb reason. As the Big 12 just added BYU, Utah does not seem to be interested. We've seen all the reports that Arizona and Colorado would be, but here's where I can confidently say that they are nowhere near a media deal. Like, I'm pretty confident there.
Yeah.
What I can't confidently say is that anybody would be interested in joining the Big 12. I really don't know that. And that's the part of it that gets really interesting, right? Like, there could be truth in we're unified here and waiting on this media deal. Because I don't think, like, the offer's going to leave the table for Arizona and maybe Colorado's in a little danger. But for Arizona, like, the offer's not going to leave the table. The Big 12 is going to want them on July 21st of 2023 or July 21st of 2024. You know what I mean? Like, so I do think there could be some truth in that. They're willing to ride this out with us, until next year. Because next year, if the Big 12 wants them, the same offer is essentially going to be, I don't think the Big 12 is going to pull its offer.
No, but I do think that, and I had never thought of this before, and so this is a new wrinkle, at least in my mind, maybe not yours, but a new wrinkle in all of this that I had never thought of until we had Tim Fitzgerald yesterday, where he said he thinks that there could be a scenario where the Big 12 and Brett Yormark is like, I don't know if we really want you guys because of your lack of leadership and the way that it's been a mess with Colorado and Arizona, and you can't make up your minds. I never thought, I mean, he said that yesterday. I've never thought about that before, that it could be Brett Yormark being like, man, you guys, it's a mess as far as your leadership is concerned.
I would tell this to Fitz. Fitz, and I love Fitz to death, and I talk to Fitz about this stuff all the time. Fitz is a Big 12 homer. As we are, but in his space, you can rile up the Twitter bases of these other. At the end of the day, money talks, man. Like, if Arizona makes the Big 12 more profitable, the offer's always going to be on the table. Who cares? Just like Texas and Oklahoma, nobody has kicked more dirt in the face of the Big 12 than Texas and Oklahoma. If for whatever reason one of those schools wanted back in, they'd take them right this second.
Well, there's a big difference between Texas and Oklahoma and Colorado.
I know
and
there is. But my point is, if Arizona makes them profitable, if Arizona helps the league, they help the league. And that's what will ultimately decide something like that.
Is it a slam dunk, though, that those schools would help the league? Because really what you're talking
I think
about
Arizona
is
would.
slicing the pie into more pieces.
No,
for
because
additional schools,
the
right?
agreement right now for the Big 12 is if they're currently a Power 5 school, they get in at that rate. So it doesn't slice the pie any differently. So they would get the exact same piece of the pie that everybody else gets. The deal just goes up. Now, the networks would have to approve that, so they'd have the ultimate say. But that is how that's built. Different if San Diego State comes in. If San Diego State came in, you could slice them a smaller piece of the pie. But if Arizona comes in, they just get the same thing everybody else gets. So if, the market would tell you that. My guess is that for Arizona, yes, they enhance the league because of what they want to do with basketball. And it is an ascending to some degree football program, and you get the Phoenix market, right? So, yes, I would say they do. Colorado, probably because of the Denver market, but it's not as sure a thing, I don't think, as Arizona. In Washington and Oregon obviously would, and that's probably the only four that I would be willing to definitively say, yes, that enhances the brand financially. Everybody else you'd have to kind of make a case to me for, but not those four. So, and we would find out, right? Again, I don't think that in the world where athletic directors change every 3 or 4 years, that Brett Yormark's saying, you know what, Arizona makes us more money, but that guy's a pain in my butt to call on the phone. No, that's not going to hold them back from getting Arizona on board. That doesn't, to me, that doesn't make any sense, because if Arizona makes more money, they make more money. If they expand their time zones and expands the footprint and does all these things, the NFL just dealt with Dan Snyder for 25 years on a much smaller scale, like a pain in the butt who's very confused and in a rock and a hard place right now anyway. I don't think that holds anything up. I think it's just, do you change your expansion plan if you're the Big 12? That's the danger Arizona would run into, right? Like if they decide to go elsewhere and do something different, then you could maybe get left out. That would be the danger. But I suspect for a school like Arizona, that's not a real danger, and they probably can just wait if they want to.
Yeah, I think that,
it's interesting.
I think that where Brett Yormark kind of comes into this is you've been aggressive thus far, and it's worked for you, and your conference has. I think it's in a better place now than what we thought it was going to be, and that's great. How much more aggressive do you need to be at this point, and how can you take advantage potentially of this mess in the Pac-12? That's been the big question throughout all of this.
And I think he's been trying,
man,
right?
I'll tell you right now, after reading these comments from George Kliavkoff, I cannot even express to you how grateful I am that Brett Yormark is running the Big 12.
Yep.
Bottom line.
I agree. All right, let's take a quick break. 869-1240, the IHOP hotline. Thanks for watching the video streams. Tommy and I will be back right after that.